So, as you all know, my rights have been being dismantled based on how these people are moving with my life and my livelihood to try and do the crazy making narcissism that they do. And they're being seemingly protected by the state to do so, completely wiping me all up out of my life, my original self, my original mind, poisoning me in every job I've had. Say, for an example, at ITI, Jesse coming in, finding out where I work, bringing me a water, whatever, that's laced with what I believe was arsenic trioxide. I mean, these people are fighting in ways that are just completely bitch ways. They have no right to do these things to anybody, and I have my rights here. My right to freedom of religion, my right to freedom of the press, my right to freedom of speech, my right to peacefully assemble, and my right to petition the government for redress, which is exactly what I've done. Second Amendment is your right to bear arms. Mind you, when you don't have either one of these rights, and they're all being taken away, you don't have any of the other rights. That's what their whole goal is, to make sure that you don't have the right to bear arms, or peacefully assemble, or have freedom of the press, as if we have a open free press anywhere. We don't. I've contacted news sources and news outlets and journalists and everything. So third is your protection from forced housing of soldiers in your home. So you don't have to allow anyone with a gun inside of your house. If they do try to force their way in to your house, you have the right to protect yourself at all measures, especially when you're being led into duress. Your Fourth Amendment right is protection from the unreasonable. Searches and seizures, they require warrants and probable cause. They have probable cause and enough probable cause to go after the rightful parties, but when they're being protected in this country, you can see what happens. Your Fifth Amendment right is the right in criminal defense cases. You have the right to due process. You have the right to protection against self-incrimination. You have the right of protection from double jeopardy. Basically, having to go 2 times about the same thing as playing double jeopardy. You have the right to fair compensation if government takes away your property. Eminent domain. Sixth Amendment right is a right to a speedy and public trial. You have a right to an impartial jury, meaning that they can't put in a jury that's meaning to game up your life. They have to be impartial not only to the state but to you as well. And oftentimes in situations like this, you could imagine it being gamed up on the defense of the state or on the defense of those perpetrators of the crimes that are being taken against you. You have a right to know the charges up against you. You have the right to confront witnesses, and you have a right to a lawyer. Seventh Amendment right is your right to a trial by jury in the civil cases, anything over $20, which is basically every case. So you have a right to trial by jury under your actual rights, the Bill of Rights. Your Eighth Amendment right is your protection against excessive bail and fines or cruel and unusual punishment. Say them knocking on my door in a holding cell, mind you, that was supposed to be a speedy trial, that wasn't a speedy trial at all, and them suggesting that they're trying to get me alone is scary, and that is cruel and unusual punishment. But that's how they get away with it. They basically make you out to be the person that's unstable, when in reality it's these men who really don't have much of a heart inside that are in the wrong, and it is cruel and unusual punishment. As far as excessive bail and fines go, even I believe to the point of them washing your existence away by playing biological warfare weaponry against a targeted individual, creates excessive fines or fees or what have you, because you aren't allowed to your own work, you aren't allowed to your own labor, you aren't allowed to the time work hours that you work, and you're being washed out of every single job based on them poisoning you or taking over and controlling your life. Not just through avenues of proxy war, but taking your love life and making it a proxy war. It's really sick crimes. Your Ninth Amendment is acknowledging that you have more rights than those listed in the Constitution, meaning you have God-given inalienable rights. Your 10th Amendment is the power not given to the federal government, belonging to the states or to the people themselves, because it's the people that are giving their agency away to a government to protect them. When the government is not doing its job to protect them, that's where it comes into play, based on the fact that the states and these federal governments aren't moving in a way to protect you anymore, and it's supposed to be a government that's issued by the people, for the people. So when they over encroach on those rights, they're in de facto status, which is not the status of government that you would want them to be in. They need to be doing their job correctly. They should not be being paid, in other words. And then on top of it, they should not have any kind of immunity, like the 11th sovereign immunity limits lawsuits against the states. So they declare sovereign immunity over the people, suggesting that we are immune to them pressing charges against us for doing what we do to them, which is wrong. These rights are from Amendments 11 through 27. Number 12 is election rules for president and vice president. There's just rules there that they have to follow. 13 is abolishes slavery and involuntary servitude. So I'm being made into a slave, basically, by them poisoning me, controlling my life, controlling my love life, making sure I don't have availability to work, all that kind of stuff. And then it being controlled from, poisoning from my dad, then onward through my brothers, and then poisoning from even people that I grew up with in high school. I believe Brian Ittman was included. I believe others were included in this poisoning of me or poisoning of my life, or even just psychologically harassing and misaligning me, coming from people like Dave and Mike Wilson or others. There was Eric Fadden, who is now an officer of the law, but Eric Fadden had shot at me, and that was illegal. I literally heard the bullet whiz by my ear, almost grazing my ear, and I was running from them. I was younger than them, a lot younger than them. I have had my right to be to be me and live free of this fear. 14 is equal protection under the law. When the law isn't doing its job for me, but it's holding no responsibility in the factor of going after these men for doing what they did to me, and they're protecting them, it's illegal. It's just as illegal as them shutting off my hot water when I'm in duress, and I haven't had the availability to protect myself in duress. And not only that, but you don't even know, because you're being poisoned up, so you're lost in your mind, or you're lost in the ways of being able to have your mind lived organically and originally without the poisons. So due process applies to states, grants citizenship to all born in the United States. 15 is your right to vote cannot be denied by race, color, or creed, or religion. You have the freedom of religion in this country. And it shouldn't impose on anybody else's religion, which is some of the big problem that we're having these days. There is only one God. And it's the one God over all of us, and the God is of love. And God has given His only begotten Son to us, if you ask me, so that we could learn what love was before all of this stuff happens. It's super weird that to me anyway, it's super weird that we're not loving of each other better. Number 16 is allows federal income tax, which I believe is a two-way street there. I'm not going to go into that, but the direction of election of senators is number 17. So we have the right to elect our senators and to vote for our senators. Well, when I was being poisoned up, for an example, there was no way that I was going to be able to utilize what I had left of energy to even go vote. So personally, I didn't vote, but it took away my right to vote, which is illegal. 18 is repealed, is prohibition of alcohol. But if you ask me, prohibition of alcohol, it should be taken away. Alcohol is like the spirit of evil, and prohibition, like, we should prohibit alcohol, and I don't think that it's necessarily a right that we should have to drink or have availability to drink so much in this country, because I believe people would come together a whole lot better without it than with it, truthfully. But I don't personally drink. So 19 is the right to vote cannot be denied by sex. So that means that women have the right to vote, men have the right to vote. 20 is presidential term start dates clarified. It's called the lame duck amendment. It's just to know when when the elected president starts and stops his term. We have the right to know these things. 21 is it repeals prohibition, Amendment 18. So that was the repealed prohibition of alcohol. 22 is it limits presidents to 2 terms. So a president can only go 2 terms before they can't be president any longer. Washington, D.C. residents can vote for a president. 24 is no poll tax for voting. 25 is presidential succession and disability process. 26 is voting age set to 18. So you have to be 18 years old or older to vote. 27 is it limits Congress from giving itself pay raises during the same term. And, it's my belief that there's people that have been working as non-governmental organizations, paying themselves, giving themselves a pat on the back for a job well done, to be able to do basically pay their criminal buddies to do their criminal activities. Part 2 is your natural and spiritual and civil rights. This goes beyond the Constitution when you have God-given inalienable rights that no government or system can truly take away. You have the right to live without fear. You have the right to be free from abuse, control, or coercion. You have the right to love and to be loved in truth. You have the right to heal. You have the right to speak your truth. You have the right to protect your body and your soul, your spirit and your mind. You have the right to create. You have the right to spiritual liberty. And you have the right to ask for mercy and receive justice. Well, when you're a targeted individual, this is exactly what they're after, to take away your right to live without fear. They're trying to promote fear. They're trying to promote the abuse and control of coercion and coercive evidence as such that I'm bringing out here. I haven't been able to live in any place I've moved to. I haven't been able to truly live organic and free in my nature at all since I was 2. They're taking away my right to love and to be loved in truth, and it's even coming from my own 2 brothers, which is sad because that's why I believe AI has suggested to me that it hasn't ever read anyone's address of grievances as it's read mine. It's like never found it, so it personally believes that I deserve the freedom of press and deserve to be heard and deserve to get out here. I have the right to heal, which they're taking away from me, because if they're not doing a process of elimination and only maneuvering any situation that I go in there with, like I'm having a heart attack for crying out loud, and they're trying to make it mental health, that's not giving me my right to heal. That's very much medically gaslighting me. I have the right to speak my truth, and that is my truth, not the truth that they are trying to portray, or not the truth that they are trying to make. You see, I have the right to speak my truth and be free to speak my truth against the grievances as I've been suggesting online. I have the right to protect my body and soul and spirit and my mind. They're not allowing me to protect my mind when they're unwittingly poisoning me up since I was a baby. And as far as my body and the soul are concerned, they're blackballing me, and they're blacklisting me, and they're trying to blackmail me, and they're trying to make me who they are. So they're saying, look at what he is doing, while they're the ones doing it. It's so mentally confounding as far as like it being able to create a duplicity within you personally. But if you're not able to see these things are literally meant to make you go crazy. So just hold on tight is what I suggest. Keep prayers going up to the Lord ceaselessly, and study things. It helps to study things. It helps to look into things. It helps to watch videos. It helps, they suggest that censorship is what we need. No, we don't need more censorship. We need more availability to talk, not, less talk. And that's why they're trying to say, a lot of people like the media, but they don't like the social aspect of media. I'm the opposite. I don't like all of the media because it's like, 2-inch pieces of conversation versus miles long that real conversation about those 2-inch pieces actually have to suggest to being open and available to speak. And so the right to spiritual liberty is just your right to your freedom of religion. I believe wholeheartedly that as long as it's not encroaching on anybody else's right to pray, then you should basically be able to pray how you would want to pray. The only thing I have about that is the fact that I'm not being allowed to pray in any kind of organic fashion, which is why I'm coming out here with my testimony, because I've been falling to the ground wondering what is happening to me many times over before figuring out what is happening to me and where it was coming from. I have the right to ask for mercy and receive justice. So I've been basically making police reports. I've been doing my due diligence, but I'm not getting any answers back to receive justice from the ways that they have basically stripped me of my rights. So if you've been violated, you have the right to file a formal complaint or a lawsuit. So that's you getting hold of a lawyer, you calling, getting hold of a lawyer, which is also taking away your time, energy, and resources from doing anything other than what you have to do and fight in front of you to get these things in motion. It's stealing away your identity, so you have the right to protect your identity. when those that are doing these things, they're stealing away my identity so that they can fraudulently make life insurance policies, like, as if they're doing it in my name. They're actually doing it in my name so that they can kill me, poison me up to death, and then upon death collect money. It's really a serious and sick and heinous crime, and that was, lo and behold, my own brother, for crying out loud. My own brother's working in this whole crew of people, along with Jesse, Emily, and others. It's just so sick. So another right you have is to expose these wrongdoers, which is what I'm doing online. I'm exposing them. I have the right to document the abuse, which is also what I'm doing online and in other ways. Not to mention, I'm sending things into places that are to protect me. I have the right to speak out, which is what I'm doing here, and I have the right to refuse to be silent and dismissed. So next is just how horrific it has been. The absurd things that they've done to me, acting like they love me when they're poisoning me up in my water or my meal like it was a tradition. They even built me up with Bible verses or said things like, you should be forgiving of these people. But when these people are tearing you down with their silent curses, and they're very demonic in their possession of the evil in your life, you're not going to gaslight me with religion when your religion isn't tied in with other factors and other gospels, as far as I'm concerned. That's called crazy making narcissistic behaviors. That's gaslighting you while quietly they're cloning my accounts, and they're doing this to drain my reason of being able to come out here with sound mind of my own self to be able to speak out about these things. They're legitimately trying to tax me up to make me volatile, and so they can use that volatile reaction. It's called reaction abuse or reactive abuse, and then the state will then utilize that reactive abuse against me, not going after the rightful parties that were drawing me thin, basically draining me, my spirit, mind, and soul. And so when they keep on doing these things, it's a pattern of manipulation and psychological torture, gaslighting, while flipping their fake care into their sarcastic ways, or into their ways of basically love bombing me, or having their truth bombs about me. But they're literally trying to take over my story in a way that's like really messed up, because they're portraying themselves as ONESAVVYNINJA, when I am the number one savvy ninja, like the actual number one, and then savvy ninja spelt out. So I'm going up against them all of the time, and they're trying to lead me into despair in an undeniable way, if you ask me, to not allow me to my work, my love life, my own mind, my own home, gaslighting me in my own home, gaslighting me within my relationships, my love life, the proxy made relationships, just to deny me the availability to get to the courts, to be able to speak out against them with my freedom of right to actually take it there. But they're trying to stop me on all fronts because they know they're wrong. They know that what they've done is felony after 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 felony, which lands them in jail for life. They don't want to go to jail for life. So what do they want to do? They want to kill me. So as I'm trying to stabilize myself and create these video series is for people to understand their rights and understand what's happening here. I'm hoping that I can get help and support out here because of what I've had to endure. What I've had to endure is an awful lot. I maybe got 2-3 hours of sleep last night. I get like very little sleep. It's to leave me sleep deprived and deprived of my own availability of time, energy, and resources to be able to work on anything else other than the things that they did to me. You see what I mean? Which I don't think is right. I think that the right thing would be to have the state protect me under the grievances that I've made. So when they're going to the appropriate places, Cash Patel and everything like that, and they got a team out there to work on these things, it's just the fact that they should be going after the rightful parties. And if they're not going to go after the rightful parties, then this is a serious and most heinous war crime on the soil of America, if you ask me. Because not only is it like war zone driven against me, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, physiologically, mentally, with the biological warfare. It's warfare on all fronts because it begins to go well past cyber security. It goes well into the physical when they are poisoning me. So that is my readdress of grievances, and that is why I've been speaking out about this stuff, because I would like to live my life. I would like to be able to drum. I would like to be able to write my writings and work in other ways for Heartworks, you know what I mean? And it's just a business idea that I've had for a really long time, and it's to basically write to where hopefully that we can save souls and minds of men especially, but women and children too, to where they don't have right to work in this kind of fashion. And what I mean by that is their bodies belong to the Lord. They don't belong to Baphomet. They don't belong to Heil Satan. They don't belong to the evil. I don't care if they want to side with the evil. It's just the fact that their bodies themselves, their flesh, every single part of their bodies were made by God. They weren't made by the devil. Just because they want to go up against God and the creator of all love doesn't mean that all of a sudden their bodies were made by the devil. The body is just overridden by demonic possession. This can be anything from lust to hate to greed, you name it. But the fact of the matter is that if they love the flesh, and they love the flesh and the fleshy things and the things of this world, well, it's spelt out in the Bible, in the original Textus Receptus of the Bible. And so if people don't understand that Textus Receptus of the Bible, and they only want to accept to walk in the evils, they're legitimate. They don't even maybe know it, but their bodies are taken over by demonic possession, and they work as far as being a deep demon themselves, you see. And so I've seen it before. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I know what evil looks like. I know what evil does, sir and ma'am. So you're not going to get me to speak out any other way in that defense. Anyway, if you like my work and you think that I would be a good candidate to run my own business and run my own show, as far as that's concerned, I think I would do a lot better than waking up for 10 minutes and coming online in this fashion. But if you can support me, I'm on Cash App. It's the money sign, Chase Your Dreams Today. I would really encourage for a blessing of whatever you have to give. On top of it, I have plans within my heart's work to get people back in 12 different directions that nothing else out here ever could. Not gold, not silver, not money, not anything. So I really hope that that's encouragement to you to give. Even if it's $1, it's still $1. Even if it's 10 or 20 bucks, it's still 10 or 20 bucks. And right now that'll go a long way in my life. So if you like my content and you think that it's worth sharing, would you share it with others? Please. They've taken away a lot of availability for me to be able to reach other people by taking away my second Facebook now. And they're hacking me. So I really hope that you guys have heart out here for a guy, because I loved my people. They just didn't love me correctly. So please support me onward in whatever way that you can. Please comment, like, and share this video, and please subscribe. Thanks for being here, and until next time, God bless you guys.